Hello everybody, it's Gillen here, and today I have a pretty exciting update. So my Encounter Counter app got approved, and I'm ready to distribute the beta 1.0.0 version. So with this version, it's going to be pretty much expected that there's going to be a lot of bugs with it. It might not even start up on your machine, it might just crash randomly. So with this version, I want people to test it out and kind of report back to me the errors that they encounter so that I can kind of fix those and then hopefully in the future release a more stable version of the app. So, first thing I wanted to get into is just the installation guide for my application. So in the link in the thread, so in this thread, I'm going to post the link for download. Also in this video, I'll have a link for download as well. Basically, you'll download this zip file. That's the GEC package, GEC standing for Gillen's Encounter Counter. A little narcissistic, but I think it's appropriate. And you just download this. It's a little over 100 megabytes to download the app. And what you will do is you'll take that and copy it into so you'll go to your PokeMMO folder and you'll go in the data into mods and you'll copy it in here so you can see there's this GEC package here, and you'll just right click on it and extract here, and that'll give you this folder right here, which is Gillen's Encounter Counter, and you should be good to go from there. If instead you have a folder that says GEC package instead of Gillen's Encounter Counter, which would be basically you extracted files and you did okay. So you have this folder here instead. You want to go in there and copy this folder and then bring it out to the mods folder here. You can leave it like this. You're just going to get an extra pop-up that's going to ask you to specify where your PokeMMO folder is. So you can download it anywhere, but it's just easier if you just download it into the mods, like I've said here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, because I don't need that. Alright, so then you've got this Gillen's Encounter Counter app here, and you go into it, and the folder you want to go into for the exe file is going to be in the GEC folder, and then there's a lot of files in here, but the .exe file is right here. So you can send this to the desktop or however you want, create a shortcut to it, but basically this is the file you want to run. So that's basic downloading and setting up my program. Once you've done that, you're good to go. So you can go ahead and run it. So I'm going to go ahead and run it now. And it takes like a few seconds for it to boot up, but then it boots up and you should be met with this. Now on my other screen, you couldn't see it. It's kind of unfortunate it was my other screen, but basically there was a black window that showed up, and that's normal. You want that black window to show up. That basically means that it's rendering the font of the client for my app to use. So maybe I can show that a little bit later when I switch stuff around. But for now, we'll just go ahead and move on with this. So you've got this app here, and you can drag it around wherever you want. If you want to like finally position the app somewhere, you can use your arrow keys to move it one pixel at a time. So as you can see, I'm like finally moving it to be like right there. So you can easily move it around how you want. And notice that I just booted it up, didn't make any changes whatsoever, and I'm going to go ahead and just get it into an encounter, and we'll see that it will count the encounter. So I got a C dot appeared, and it already counted 1. So right off the bat, it's already working. I didn't have to do any configuration whatsoever, so it just works straight out of the box. And I can even do a horde battle here, and it's going to count the horde battle, so 3 additional C dots. So 3, and it counted it right there. Okay, so it's so I didn't have to like select the pixels and locations on the screen for it to count, and so that's all good. I can even open up my global trade link, cover up the names. I can even like cover up my own Pokemon's name right there, and then close it, and you'll see it didn't count again. So it only counts once. There's no double counting involved. I can even tab out with PokeMMO to my browser and then go back in the PokeMMO and it still did not double count. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. So that functionality is all still there. I can even minimize the client. So I'm going to minimize the client and then pull it back up. And it didn't double count. My application got a little bit messed up on its position. I'm still working on getting that fixed. So there's obviously still bugs in my program, but that's minor. I wanted to get out a working version and not kind of worry about every single niche scenario to get it fixed, because then I'd just be coding forever and never get out a working version. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run from this. We're gonna go ahead and enter into a PvP spectate to kind of show that it won't count a spectate battle. So we'll just go in this one. So we spectated this, and as you can see, it's still at 4. It did not count this encounter. And it does the same thing for an NPC battle. So I'll go ahead and show an NPC battle real quick. So we'll go ahead and head over to the same guy that I showed in my first video, because that's kind of an easy one to do. So Kanto, and we'll head over to that same guy. So again, this battle, and we'll kind of quickly see that it won't count the Sandshrew, so it's going to stay at 4. So Sandshrew appeared, and it's still at 4. So it did not count this Sandshrew. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this battle real quick. I'll fast forward through this. Okay, so we got through that battle completely, and as you can see, it is still at 4 encounters. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a wild encounter just to show that it is still counting. And so this main key appeared, and you can see it went to 5, so it counted this main key. Alright, cool. So that kind of shows that my app continues to work even through normal gameplay. So my goal of being able to just have this encounter counter open all the time, I think I've achieved that. So you can have it running all the time while you're playing PokeMMO and not have to worry about it counting random trainer battles and whatnot. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next stuff. So that was all like the regular encounter counter functionality. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click on this app. So you can right click anywhere on the app, and it's gonna pull up this settings page. So on the settings page, there's a lot of options here. So I'll just go ahead and run through them all. So the ROM language, you do have to specify what the language of your ROM is, as I do not have the ability to kind of auto detect that. So for me, I select English. You can also select Chinese, traditional or simplified, Japanese, Korean, German, and French. So all of these languages are supported for the ROM language. If you set your client language by going the settings in game, and you go to language and your client language here, it does handle all the languages listed here for client languages. Okay, so I'm going to go back in the settings, kind of show what we've got. So here on the tool mode, you've got 3 different options. So I'm going to show off this mode first. So this is what I consider embedded mode. So for embedded mode, as you can see, kind of the idea is for it to just blend right in with the existing UI. So you can just have it exist anywhere. It's not perfect, as you can see, like there's a little darkness around the character, and I can't have anti-aliasing because it's either fully transparent or not transparent at all. So it doesn't look perfect, but I think it's okay and kind of serves its purpose, especially like on this theme where I've got like this extra little bit right here. I can just let it exist on this tab and it actually looks pretty good. So I can have that right there. And then you've also got this bigger mode, which is actually the expanded mode. And as you can see, it shows that 1 main key encounter and the 4 CDOT encounters here. So it kind of just breaks down on the species level, and it shows basically your most recent encounters here and their associated counts. But this also brings up the important detail that yes, my encounter tool does count on the species level. So it does distinguish between different species. And it'll also distinguish between shinies. However, currently I don't have the tool like explicitly let you know that you've encountered a shiny. So you won't actually see anything in the tool itself right now. But down here, when we talk about dump all data, the data will have when and what species you encountered as a shiny. So just be aware of that. Maybe in the future releases, I'll have like a little star next to the Pokemon icon to show that you've encountered a shiny, or something like that. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. So that's the expanded mode. I'll actually leave it on expanded mode for the rest of the time, as this is the mode that I like to use the most. Next up is count to the display. So either your total count or the count on the current hunt. We'll get into this once we get into the profiles and hunts. So I'll leave it on total for now. So tool theme selection. So this is a specific theme for my tool itself. So you can kind of customize my tool however you want it to look. For me, I actually don't really use my default theme as much. It's a little too generic, and I've really kind of adopted this redesign theme that was made for the Pokemon client. So I actually made my own theme of my tool here, which is called the redesign theme electric blue. And so I can kind of show, so the blue is kind of blending in. So as you can see, like, it kind of matches the existing theme that I'm using. So it really helps it look like it's blending in. Additionally, on the Pokemon icons here, you may notice that they're the shuffle icons. But the tool will actually pull the icons from whatever mod you are using that edits the Pokemon icons. If you're not using a mod at all, it's going to use the default Gen 5 icons. So it just helps it blend in to your Pokemon client better. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so now profiles. So in profiles, what you have here is, I like to think of these as you kind of separate them by characters, but it's however you want. So like on this one, if I right click on the cell, it's going to bring up this little dialog box, and I can change the name of the profile. So I'm going to change it to Gillen, because that's the character that I'm on right now. So for this character, it's going to use this profile Gillen. And then I can create a new profile. I'm going to just call this, my other character would be XGillenX. I know, very different. And you can see that that becomes the active profile, and you can see that the count is now 0 here, and it kind of wiped clean. I can switch back to Gillen, and it still has that data there. So it's just a way to kind of separate and keep track of different accounts. But it doesn't have to be different accounts. You can do whatever you want. You could like say like this profile's for egg counting, this profile's for single wild encounters, this profile's for horde battles, and then you can just kind of select which one you want to be active on at any time. Cool. So that's profiles. Now for each profile, there are hunts. So in Gillen, I have this hunt one. I'm going to call this, since I'm currently hunting for Trapinches, I'm just going to call this Trapinch hunt. Here. So Trapinch hunt currently has 5. I can create a new hunt. I'm going to call this egg hunt. So I can keep track of my egg hatches in this one. And so let's say that I just hatched 60 eggs, and I want to keep track of that. So I can right click on that cell over there to change the count, and I can type in my 60. So that's going to put 60. And then if I encounter another, or if I hatched another 60 eggs, I can then put in 120. And so now that hunt has 120. And you can see that here, the total count for the Gillen profile increased by that 120 as well. So it's 120 plus 5, give that 125. So now this hunt is currently active. If I were to encounter a wild encounter, the count would go to this hunt. But I don't want that to happen because I only want this to track eggs. So I'm going to switch back over to my Trapinch hunt, and you can see the specific encounters are tracked for this Trapinch hunt. The total count is still for both hunts because I have this listed as total. And so just be aware of that. If I just want to just view this Trapinch hunt, I can click on current hunt, and now it just shows 5 and 1 and 4. So that's done. I apologize for my Discord notifications. I'm sure that's going to be a little annoying, especially if you use Discord yourself. Okay. So that's hunts. And then if I go back to XGillenX, you can see this is still hunt 1. So the hunts are specific to the profile. So use these however you want, play around with them, and do whatever you want. If you want to get rid of a hunt, you archive the selected hunt. This won't remove the count from the profile total, but it will just remove it from being able to be selected from this table. If you want to fully delete data, so let's say I just want to go ahead and delete this Gillen profile, I just hit the delete selected profile, and it's going to just confirm that I want to permanently delete the active profile, and all associated data will be lost. So everything with this Gillen profile is going to be lost, so that whole 125 will be permanently deleted and unrecoverable. So I'm just going to go ahead and say yes, and as you can see, that Gillen profile went away, and just have 0 for the xGillenX profile. And then if I delete this profile, I can do that as well, and it's just going to default back down to profile 1. So now there's no data whatsoever. I got rid of everything. So I'm going to go ahead and just rename this back to Gillen, and rename this hunt. I'm going to call this one Egg Hunt, and then create a new hunt called My Trap Image Hunt. Just get that back and set up. All right, cool. Okay, now dump all data. What this is going to do is it's going to create a .csv file, and it's just going to dump out all the data that my tool has. Since I got rid of all the data, there's actually no data to dump, so I can't really show it. But you can just dump all data. It'll produce a file in this dump folder here. So it'll produce a .csv file that you can open up and edit here. So that'll help you kind of consume all your data. And yeah, so that's that. And that should cover most of it. Let me check just a few things. Yeah, so that covers it all. If you want to close down the app, you just hit this power button and it'll shut down. If you just close down the Pokemon window, it'll close with it. So just be aware of that. I guess the last thing I want to show off is that, so I have this positioned kind of perfectly right here on the screen. So if I shut it down and then go and reopen the app, so let's go and reopen it. You'll see it actually kind of just continues to exist right here. Oh, there's some more functionality I want to show off. So yeah, so it remembers its position here. So that's kind of just a little convenience. Okay, so additionally, settings. So if I want to change my theme that I'm currently using, so I'm going to change it to Gengar theme here. It'll work. I can't show off that black screen that's showing up, but basically there's a black screen window that kind of shows up. It's a rectangular box. That is normal, and you kind of just want to wait till that goes away before you start doing any encounters. It takes a few seconds if you're on 1x scaling. If you're on 1.25 to 1.75 scaling, it'll take a little bit of time, like up to like 30 seconds, I think, for it to render all the fonts. Just because the 1.25, the 1.75 scaling is really weird. But then 2x scaling is just like 1x scaling, so that won't take too much time. Okay, so you can see I've changed the theme, and so I'm going to get into a new encounter, and you'll see that it's still going to count that encounter despite the theme change. So we find a Pidgey, and you can see it still counted the Pidgey. So it still works through the theme change. I can even go to the default theme here. So let's go ahead and go to the default theme, kind of show this. And so it auto detects, you can see like this little thing popped up. It auto detects the theme change. So I can now go into another encounter. And you can see it counted that Pidgey again as well. So you can change your themes in the middle of the client and the tool will adapt to that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my preferred theme. And you'll see this thing pops up again. And we are good to go. So, and continue the count. So I'm going to count this word of 3 Magnemites. There we go. So play around with it, find stuff that breaks it so I can kind of develop a better version and have a more stable release for everyone. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please post everything to this thread, this My Gillen's Encounter Counter thread. The title will change a little bit because I'm releasing it. But yeah, I appreciate everybody's help. I hope this tool works for you and is easy to use and is useful. And look forward to talking to you guys on a future date. Bye.